Hello and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Lester and thank you for joining us for episode 152. Tonight we're going to give you our player and match analysis from Wolves' 0-0 draw with Newcastle United. We'll give you our take on the January window, whether we're going to loan, sell or keep, take some of your questions and look ahead to Saturday afternoon's game away at Manchester City. Nocky, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Talk us through the delights of your take. Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Newcastle United 0.
I actually quite enjoyed it. I know some people thought it was a bit boring, but I thought we were resolute. I thought we were solid. We've become hard to beat, which was absolutely essential because we were so soft at the start of the season. I was proud of the performance and we had to work really hard. And midfield in particular, we had to work really hard because I know they haven't got the best away record, but they've still got some quality operators and we had to be really, really solid and we had to keep our shape, we had to keep our discipline, but we had to stay switched on as well. And I thought there were some really positive performances as well. I thought Hugo Bueno in particular was excellent. But Yerson Mosquera's probably my favourite lunatic. He's brilliant to watch. There was just some real brave performances and we carried a little bit of a threat as well. It wasn't just a rearguard action where we were trying not to concede. I thought we looked like we had a little bit going forward. Tolu, again, he come in for a little bit of criticism, but I thought he held the ball up well and he kept engaging the defence and putting them under a little bit of pressure. It was just a very balanced display. I think he made the substitutions at the right time. I just thought it was a real hard-working, professional workman-like performance, I would say. They stayed in the game. They didn't give away anything soft. We limited them to very little. I don't remember anything Jose Sarr had to do. And probably in terms of chances, we probably created the better opportunities out of the two teams. So I'm pleased. I'm delighted with a point. We're still unbeaten. It would have been lovely to win it, of course it was, but you're up against a very good team there that are full of superstars. So it's important you don't lose a game like that. Keeps the run going. So yeah, I'm really pleased.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same. If it's a point I'd have probably taken before. Now, if you're living in dream world, it's a game you've got to win if you've got any chance of survival. I think in reality we know how that story ends, but it feels to an extent, Nocky, like we've got our team back. And then what I mean by that is they're playing for the badge, they're playing for us, they're scrapping, there's a bit of housery in there. They look like a completely different team. Now, I know Daz talked about it last week in terms of maybe the Matt Doherty bit in terms of being cowards or remember for fighting till the end, whether that's made a difference. But it does feel like it's made a difference as this team now does look like they're playing for the manager and for the fans again.
Well, it's all we asked for, really, isn't it? I mean, the protests were on the back of the poor ownership style and Jeff Shea and everything that was going on. But also, when you see the players not turning up and not performing and not putting the effort in, it's a massive kick in the teeth when you're paying the kind of money that we're paying for season tickets. And they weren't putting it in. There's no way on earth that team were bad enough to be on sort of 2 points going into Christmas. They just weren't. So now we're seeing a team that are playing the way that we expect them to play. We're not an unrealistic bunch of supporters. We know that we're not going to be challenging in the top 4, top 2, top 6. We're realistic about what our team can achieve. Minimum requirement and non-negotiable is to see that 100% work rate and effort. And they did that, and they showed a little bit of quality as well. But they had a determination, a dogged determination not to lose the game. And that's not something that we saw at the start of the season. I think you've got to give massive credit to Rob Edwards as well. I think when he first came in, I think it got worse initially. I thought the first few performances, we seemed to be even softer. We seemed to be easy to score against. But he's took a bit of time, as you would probably expect in hindsight. But he's managed to get a system that works now. He's managed to get the players to buy into what he wants them to do. And he's also a manager who's made it very, very clear that he wants to be at this football club. When you had maybe Vitor Pereira, who perhaps was hinting officially and unofficially that he didn't want to be there, that's going to rub off on the players. So you're seeing a change in style and you're seeing a change in attitude now. And while the players perform at that level, win, lose or draw will back them because you're seeing the fight, you're seeing the effort, you're seeing what the fans expect to see. And if they do that, they'll get back. So they were clapped off at Everton, even though we were up against 9 men. They were clapped off against Newcastle, even though, it was a game potentially we could have won, because you could see the fight in the team. And it's chalk and cheese to 6 weeks ago. And I think if you look back to when Edwards came in and even before that with Vitor, there's not a chance in hell we get a result out of that game. We lose it 2, maybe 3-0. So to see the turnaround in what is probably a relatively short space of time, when you look at where what he's had to go through to get us here, I think he deserves all the credit in the world. And so do the players, because they've come out of taking a lot of damage and they've started showing a little bit of character, and that's what we expect. But it's not always as easy as that when you're going through what they were going through.
Yeah, let's just want to pick up there a little bit on Rob Edwards. Now, as I think everybody said, you couldn't carry on losing games. Again, I think Daz mentioned this. There's no manager anywhere that can just keep losing and losing. And we were on that bad run. And as you said, it did seem to have to get worse before it got better. But then somewhere along the line, we found ourselves, I think, for me, a prouder day. Again, it's a reach because you lost. But the performance at Villa, I thought there's something in us here. And then we went and lost to Forest. But then we did it again at Arsenal. And we were desperately unlucky. 2 own goals at Arsenal against the best team in the country that's going to win the Premier League. And then we did it again at Liverpool. And it's like you're almost thinking now, well, this isn't like glorious in defeat. There's no one, they're all teams there, champions, teams like top fighting for Champions League football in the Premier League that aren't duffing us. They're not smashing us. It's not save, dig in. There's proper organised performances. But those performances now have turned into results. And again, I want to sort of focus a little bit on Rob Edwards. Yes, it's only sort of like a month, but you know what? Wolves look a completely different team, and I think we really, really do need to credit Rob for that.
Absolutely, and he's making big decisions as well. It was a big decision to bring Tolo in, regardless of the form that Strand Larsen was in. We gave him a new deal. We gave him a big shiny pay rise. That took a lot of gumption to take him out of the team, and also to bring Mane in, because I was kind of the mindset that you give him minutes here and there, you bleed him into the squad, you don't just throw him in. But Edwards stuck him in, and he's not let him down. And bringing Arias into midfield, but then being brave enough to drop Arias to bring Andre in because you feel like you need a little bit more stability. He's making the big decisions, and he deserves the credit he's getting at the moment. Because I think we were all, when you look at the list of potential candidates, he was probably, most people thought, okay, I'm all right with that. I don't think anyone was particularly excited about him coming in, but I think you kind of thought that's not terrible for us. But what he's managed to do is just get everyone on side, and that was huge. And it almost feels like we're rebuilding that rift a little bit now between the players and the supporters as well. And the protests have stopped, and it's more of a together feel at the moment. And it's just, as supporters, we want to see that. We don't want to be out there criticising. We don't want to be moaning at the team. We don't want to be critical of everything that's going on with the club. But you need something to hold on to in order to stay away from that kind of mindset. And we're sort of seeing that. And someone's mentioned there about Rui Silva. That's a massive, massive difference maker for us as well. It was huge when Nuno was here. So these little pieces that Edwards has put in place, these little changes, and just these tiny little moves that he's making are just adding up to 5 and 10% in terms of performance. And we're seeing a huge impact for it now. So he does deserve a lot of credit. And I think that if we can carry on in this kind of system, this kind of setup, the determination we've got, we're still going to get relegated, but maybe we go down with a little bit of momentum, which we can carry into next season, as opposed to finishing, single figures and you carry that over. So there's positives for us, and we've got time to work now as well, which is really important.
Yeah, there's a lot of credit for him for being brave with his selections, as you meant, bringing Tolo in, bringing Mane in. And that made such a difference, Nocky. I mean, you talk about Strand Larsen again. I understand that he's frustrated that not getting his big Newcastle move. He probably take it a little bit farther. And I know he had a bit of an Achilles issue as well. And I think there's a bit of him not being at his best and not being fit. And I certainly don't think there was a player that was fully happy and not a little bit stroppy. But so the manager probably for me made the change a little bit too late. But the difference of Tolu coming in the team now, that when we do lump a ball, it's an out ball for us because it doesn't always stick to him. But because he's mobile and he's strong and he's massive, I mean, look what he did. 2 of the biggest, roughest centre-backs at Everton, they struggled against him because he's an absolute nightmare. And for me, Nocky, he's improving. He's not just some big lump as well. Little touches, little intelligent knockdowns. He's allowing Wolves to get up the pitch. He's bringing. I mean, I just would have thought on Sunday, I'd have liked Chani a little bit closer. I'd have liked Mane a little bit closer. I just thought he was a little bit isolated at times. I just think, but if you're up there, he does get you up the pitch. He can hold it up. He wins the odd flick on. You know what I mean? It comes to his chest. It looks like the manager has changed the team and he's been brave. And I'm delighted with that. And again, lots of people mentioning Rui coming in. Yeah, that is coinciding with that. And someone else mentioned here, made me laugh. I don't know if you saw the pictures of this, but I think there was a Wolves fan that went to the Vatican. I think he did. and he met the Pope, and he got the Pope's name on a shirt and gave it to him. Now, whether there's been divine intervention, I don't know. But if we're going to use some of that, let's ease off on the league and use it for the cup and get some silverware. But I don't know. But yeah, Martin, thanks for pointing that out. Take on the game, Nocky. You pick most. I mean, I don't think you could probably call it Super Sunday in terms of what's been offered in terms of football recently. But you made a really good point off there. Do you know what? Boring 0-0 maybe. But what did you say before off air when I talked about a boring 0-0?
I can't remember, if I'm being totally honest. What did I say?
You said it's boring getting smashed every week.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for me, boring's not drawing 0-0 and picking up points. Boring's getting beat 2-0 and 3-0 and not even being in the game. I'm never going to moan about picking up points. I mean, and that's a team that won silverware last year. That's a team that have spent a fortune. They're pushing to try and get back into Europe. They're a good side, and we've managed to limit them to almost nothing in terms of opportunities. And you mentioned Tolu earlier. He's coming for a little bit of criticism that I could see. I don't really understand why. You saw the difference when he came off and we brought Strand Larsen on, because Strand Larsen wasn't winning anything aerially and he wasn't holding the ball up. And that period, probably the 10, 15 minutes when he came on, that was probably Newcastle's best spell in terms of possession. The difference was when it goes up to Tolu, he was able to keep the ball or flick it on or just push it into their half, which allowed us to push out from the back. When we brought Strand Larsen on, we lost that. So every time it went out, it just kept coming back at us. So your striker is really important in terms of goals. Of course they are. But for a team like us, the be-all and end-all isn't the striker putting the ball in the back of the net. It's what he can do to affect that final third. Can he keep the ball up? Can he bring other players in? Mane is a much better player when he's playing with Tolu because they've got a little bit of an understanding. And I think Hwang comes into that as well. You know, we've all been critical of Hwang. He's earned his shirt for me. He deserves his start because he's putting a bit of energy in and he's opening up space for Mane to play. So there's a lot of little things that are working at the moment. It's not turning into a huge amount of points, is it? But we've gone from 2 to 8 in a relatively short space of time, and we've got a bit of momentum now. So collectively, what we're doing is working.
Absolutely. Yeah, just a comment on Hwang as well. And again, I've been one of the first to criticise him whenever he's poor. That's because I think he's been at times diabolical for 2 years, and every time he seems to give the ball away in his own half, he seems to let end to a goal for the opposition. But as we've said before, if he's playing through the middle and he's close to the goal, the better version you'll get of Hwang. Now, if he's allowed to go narrow left, narrow right and run at the centre-back, like he did against West Ham and put a cross in, you can get something out of him. If he's allowed to be around the penalty box, I think we'll get something out of him. And credit has to go to him as well, because he does suit that system. He works with Tolu. He's strong. He's reasonably quick. And it just works. Is he the answer going forward? Probably not. Will he be here at the end of the window? I don't know. But you have to credit him and the rest of the team because he's played his part, Nocky, in this last run of games. I think they all have. They've come together. There's been no... I know the Mane thing has sort of lifted the fans with the song and there's a homegrown sort of hero coming on. But it's been a real team effort. Everyone tracking back, everyone doing their jobs, a bit of housery from players. It's been a proper team coming together over the last month.
Yeah, and that's what helps to heal those wounds, isn't it? I mean, you look at Yerson Mosquera, he was everywhere. You know, he was supposed to be playing centre half, but there was one moment where we were breaking down the right and there was no need for him to be in the area, but the cross comes in and he's the first one there like a torpedo. And right, he headed it over the bar. But the engine on that guy is absolutely phenomenal. And he just keeps working, he keeps running, and he went on a brilliant run in the first half where he just kept charging and kept going and they were bouncing off him. It was so...
Because I sat at the other end. I thought it was Chacho to start with. And as he got close, I was like, that can't be Yerson. Just bundling his way through. Brilliant. Yeah, sorry, go on, Knocker.
I thought he was going to put Pope in the North Bank, actually, because there was an opportunity for him to deck him. But that kind of thing lifts you because it makes you realise that they're working. And I've been critical of Jackson Tachura as well. I don't think he gets the ball in the box anywhere near as often as he should. I don't think he takes his man on as often as he should. But there was 2 really big moments where Newcastle put a ball in behind us and he was switched on enough to break the lines and go and take that ball off them. It's not massive. You know, you don't see a huge amount of conversation about that, but they're really important moments in the game because you've got quick Newcastle players and he's got in, he's got past them and he's took that ball away. Anthony Gordon took him on once and he's absolutely smashed him and put the ball out of play. Gordon never went near him again. So although he's not doing that offensive work at the moment, defensively, I thought that was probably his best performance for us. And there's so many good individual performances. Krejci as well. getting those balls away. Hugo Bueno made a really important block in the second half as well. They're doing what you would class as the bare minimum in terms of that's their role, but it's those things that we just weren't doing a few weeks ago. So they're all doing the job, but with a lot more effort and a lot more work rate, and it's making a big difference to us at the moment. And you want to see, as supporters, you want to see the team buying into it. You want to see the team working, and if they can do that, we're going to support them. But I thought there's not a player on that pitch that I could criticise from a Wolves perspective. I thought they all worked really hard. They all put a fantastic shift in, and they all earned their shirt. And if they play like that and they work like that, fine, we'll go down, but we'll go down swinging.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all we want, Nocky, because, and again, I'll repeat myself from previous shows, people can't help if they're not good enough. But if they're trying their best, I can accept that. No, I don't think the team was together for quite a while. And as you said, I think it had to get worse before it got better. It's now getting better. We're giving proper teams of football a proper game and making it hard. Newcastle had to work for a 0-0. Were they a better team? Yeah, they were. But they should be. The likes of Bruno in centre midfield. And, you know what I mean, the money they spent on their forward line, like 150 million this summer, they've pumped a load of money in and we gave them a proper game. And I'm proud of that again. You know what, we are going to go down, but like you say, Nocky, we're going down swinging and we're giving people a game, and we're not just rolling the dice and we've lost 5-1. We're proper tucking in and making it horrible. And there's a real amount of gnarl again in the team. There's a real bit of zest amongst there. And I've got to say, I think Yersa Mosquera is the absolute leader of the housery. And yeah, I'm such a big fan, and I've called for him a few times on this show. Yes. Do you know what? He does seem a little bit like he could be erratic, but I think he's erratic when he wants to be in those one-on-one situations, when he wants conflict. Because there's a guy that wants a problem. He's like a centre-back Diogo Costa. He's not afraid of anybody. He's looking for trouble. And I've got to be honest, every other Premier League team's got a few players like it, so why can't we? So yeah, Yerson, well played, keep it going, but let's keep the cards to a yellow and no other colours. Let's move on to the team, Nocky. Let's just take those comments off, Brody, so we can look at that now. Stats would say that Newcastle were the better team. I would agree. But on the day, you would say there wasn't really a lot in there. Ended 0-0, but it was a game that was 0-0, Nocky, when Jose Sarr really didn't have to make a save.
Yeah, stats-wise, yes, of course they were the better team, but I don't remember them creating anything. And there was no sustained pressure where you felt it's going to come in a minute. They had the ball and they were knocking it around nicely, but I never felt like we were really under the pump. Sarr's, I don't remember him making a save, to be honest. His kicking drives me mad. I think 2 or 3 times he shanked one straight out of play, but he did make a really good double save. I can't remember if it was in the first half or the second half. So to be fair, he has had something to do, hasn't he? But I thought everything he did well. It's just his kicking. Other than that, I thought he was relatively solid. He was pretty good from corners as well. There's a new sort of trend now where we're bombing corners right on top of the goalkeeper under the crossbar, and he stood up to that quite well. So I can't be too critical. It's just his kicking for me. He's not going to get better at his age, is he? But it is a frustration, because when you're trying to get up the pitch or when you are under a bit of pressure and you're banging it straight out of play, it's just going to keep coming back. So yeah, frustrating. But all in all, not a bad performance at all, and he's kept a clean sheet, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Sam Johnson's quite weak at his punching. Obviously, it cost us a goal against Forest at home. It was like the ball was in the net before he'd swung the punch. But Jose Sarr seems to be okay at that. But with that, I would say Sam Johnson's a better kicker of the football, more consistent, whereas Jose Sarr's a little bit more erratic. But as they've done this season, they've gone in and out of the team. I think Jose Sarr's taken his opportunity and he's done okay. Now, if a keeper comes, Jose Sarr's 6'3", 6'4", he should be coming out and making punches. And he did do that because Newcastle, you've got the likes of Joe Linton in midfield. They've got some big boys at the back. I think we dealt with that relatively well. They didn't really win anything and pepper us with headers, did they? So, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with Jose Sarr. Solid enough. Moving on to the back three, Nocky. Let's start with the culture before we start with the other side of the game. Ladislav Krejci obviously announced this week that he triggered the number of games. I think that happened a while ago, but there's an article in the Express and Star from LinkedIn confirming, or I think you might have been on the podcast there, confirming that Krejci will stay. Now, he will sign. Whether he stays in the summer, I think he's probably a little bit too good for the Championship. Big, strong, reasonably mobile, comfortable, creative. He's a nice footballer to watch, Nocky. And I mentioned this last week as well, but I think his inclusion on the left-hand side of the defence has really brought the best out of Hugo Bueno.
Yeah, they link up really well. He's a very intelligent footballer, isn't he? He doesn't do anything for the sake of it. He's always got a bit of a plan. And he made some really important clearances, some important blocks. I just like him. I like the way he plays. He's a little bit of a Rolls Royce back there, isn't he? He's a little bit of a calming presence as well. And he can move into midfield and affect the game there. I think it's important that we signed him, even if we're going to lose him, because I think you turn a profit on a player like that. So I'm glad that deal's been done. I agree. I think he probably is too good for the Championship, but he certainly works his socks off in this league. So, and again, I don't think he put a foot wrong. It was a real good performance.
Yeah, solid, very solid. And if you're keeping a clean sheet against Newcastle, you've done really well. Now, I know Newcastle lost to Man City in the League Cup first leg, but Newcastle had multiple chances against Man City.
Yeah.
We restricted them to way less than that, and Ladislav was a part of that. Moving on to probably one of Wolves' unsung heroes of the last month. Doesn't really stand out for making mistakes or being spectacular in the game. Solid, neat and tidy, wins his battles, takes fouls when he has to. Santiago Bueno.
Just never lets us down, does he? And he seems to be the first one taken out as well. He seems to be the first one to get dropped. I don't think he's a player that's ever let us down. He's always available. He's always solid. He does the basics really well. I think he was a little bit soft when he first came to the club, but he sort of got used to the pace and the power of the Premier League. And I'm more than comfortable with him being in that team. He's got a bit of calmness about him as well. He doesn't panic. How many times have you seen Wolves trying to play out from the back and end up giving a goal away because we're flapping? He just seems to be very calm, very organised. I think he's a lot better with Krejci next to him. I think when he played with Agbadou, there's a little bit of panic, or with Totti on that side, there's a little bit of nervousness, but they seem to complement each other quite well. And he is, you said there, unsung hero. He absolutely is. He's a player who never lets you down. He's like the old Kevin Foley, 7 out of 10 every week. And he's just a reliable player to have in your team.
Yeah, again, another player I'm not sure an Uruguayan international is going to be playing in the Championship next year. I think he's a solid player. That's again, someone else that's benefiting from having a culture player on the left-hand side of our defence, which is bringing the best out of Santiago, and as you mentioned earlier on, Hugo as well. Now, on to probably my favourite player of the moment, Yerson Mosquera. I bigged up Yerson a couple of years ago before he did his cruciate at Villa Park. I thought for a slow start to the season, for those opening few games, he was probably Wolves' standout player. Yes, he's probably not as silky as Ladislav and as accomplished a footballer as Santiago, but he's a stopper. He's a monster. He wants the battle. He wants the fight. His athleticism, Noki, as you mentioned, in that first half, honestly, at the start, I thought that was Jackson bowling through. I did not expect Yerson Mosquera to be bombing forward, but this isn't the first time he's made an overlap. This time he's done it with the ball. But yeah, I like Yerson. I mean, he's on the floor about 4 or 5 times a game, causing trouble. But you know what? The Premier League's full of them. It's not my favourite thing in the Premier League. But if you can't beat them, join them out. And we've got a special owner of King of Housery at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Yeah, he's just chaos, isn't he? You don't know what he's going to do. And he'll just suddenly get bored and bomb on and start supporting the attack or taking people on. But he's actually a really good defender as well. He's very underrated. Positionally, he's good. He doesn't get beaten. He doesn't get beaten for pace. He knows how to read the game. He's a really good player. And we probably forget that because we see the chaos element to him. But we've looked better with him in the team. And I think he links up quite well with Jackson. It's just unfortunate that Jackson doesn't like to try and get in behind. But I really like Yerson. I think he plays the way that you would expect a fan to play. He's 100% art on his sleeve and he just wants to work hard for the team. And he's not scared to get in and drop someone either. So he's a player that gives you a little bit of enjoyment watching him play because you don't know what he's going to do. And it was another good performance. It's back-to-back home clean sheets and he's been a part of that. So you've got to give him all the credit in the world.
Absolutely. It's funny because Jackson's obviously reluctant to get forward, so Yerson decides to go instead and overlap. But it's two very different partnerships, Noki. I mean, it is very much Beauty and the Beast. There's two good footballers on the left-hand side. Now, I'm not being derogatory to the two on the right. They're not as talented as the two on the left, but it's a different kind. It's more of an athletic, aggressive partnership. But at the moment, it's working and I'm happy for it to stay. Noki, moving on to Hugo Bueno, who for me was probably Wolves' best player on Sunday afternoon. He got fed in a lot. Left foot. This is someone that I think a few of us on here probably didn't think was quite up to it. But I think I've been proven wrong and he seems to be really now developing into a Premier League wing-back.
Yeah, I was in that camp. I didn't think he was good enough, but he's going from strength to strength at the moment. And he can play both sides as well. There was a moment in the second half where they switched him.
Yeah.
And he cut in from that right-hand side and he bent a lovely strike that just went over. He seems a very intelligent player. I think before he kind of would run forward, do 6 or 7 step overs and then recycle it and go backwards, where he's doing things with a bit of intent now. He's trying to take his man on, and if that's not there, he'll drop it back into the middle. But he's always an outball for us, and he's just getting better and better. I really, really like Hugo's performances. I can't remember the last time he put in a below par performance, even if we've lost the game. He's just looked really solid. And I don't dislike Wolf, but when you compare the two of them in terms of what he offers going forward, it's absolutely chalk and cheese. Hugo has to start for me. And he's just got that. He's just got that quality about him. I think if we persist with him, you could see him maybe chipping up with 5 or 6 a season at some point, because he's just got that about him. He just tiptoes into the right positions and he links up really well with Krejci. He's an option going forward. And I think when Hwang kind of opens that space, Hugo will run into it. He gives you a dynamic down that side. And similar to Yerson, he's got a right engine on him as well and he can keep going for the whole game. So really pleased to see the way he's developed, and I'm really pleased that he's proving me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm delighted as well. What I would say, Nocky, I was going to tweet about this, but Hugo Brenner Worldy, he's not far away. You look what he did, he's right foot at Everton, really unlucky. Look what he did against Newcastle, coming on his weaker side. Well, he's on the weaker side, but cutting to his stronger foot. There's one of those classic Mark Walters whipped into the top corner coming soon from Hugo, and hopefully that comes on. That'd be nice if that comes on Saturday afternoon against Man City. But yeah, Hugo's playing really well, enjoying him. Did a little tweet earlier on about Jackson, and it was an appreciation tweet because I thought this was Jackson's most comfortably his best game of football for Wolverhampton Wanderers so far. I mean, first and foremost, as I think people mentioned on the timeline earlier on, he's a fullback for me. He's a fullback in a back four. I'm not sure if he's a wing back, but playing up against sort of Anthony Gordon, who is absolutely rapid, he hardly gave him a kick. And Jackson was good defensively. I just wish you'd be a bit more positive and believe in yourself going forward. But as you mentioned, so before we went on to the teams, Nocky, there was the 2 through balls. He had the pace to get himself out of trouble. I think Barnes sort of pushed it past him by the corner flag, caught up, took it out of the way. Strong, athletic, very, very good defensively. And for me, his best game for Wolverhampton Wanderers.
He worked really hard. And you know what? He put a shift in for the team as well, because he was always tracking back. He was always covering his man. It was a really, really good performance. And yes, I think if he believed in himself, he'd be a right threat going forward, because every time he takes his man on, he beats him. But for some reason, he just doesn't trust himself to do that. But I thought defensively, the work he put in, and I'd love to know how many yards he covered, because he didn't seem to stop running. I thought it was a very, very good performance. And he probably went under the radar because of what you see Hugo doing on the other side. But there were some really big moments for Jackson that made a huge difference between us getting 1 point or ending up losing the game. So yes, you want to see more from him going forward, but I do agree. I think he's a fullback. I think he prefers to defend than attack. He doesn't look comfortable when he's taking his man on, but when he does use his pace, he used it for a defensive reason, and he got us out of trouble a couple of times. So I'm not going to be critical of him. I thought he did really well.
Yeah, I thought he did really well as well. Again, I just want him to believe himself. He has clearly he's blessed with ridiculous pace, and we don't have to do anything special. We haven't got to do step overs. Stand your man up like Adama did, push it to the byline, get the crossing. The amount of times he's done that already and won corners from it, that's all you've got to do. Get us up the pitch. Then you've got Yerson, you've got Santi, Ladislav, and then you've got Tolo up there as well that can go and do some stuff from the corner, hopefully. So push, believe in yourself. Whether he's under instruction to keep playing back, I don't know. But yeah, I think there's more to come from Jackson. Is he as blessed as Hugo in terms of football? No, but that engine is incredible, and I think he just needs to make the most of it going forward as well as back.
He can deliver though, can't he? He can cross the ball. We've seen it a few times.
The ball at all.
You see him get there, and I think where it's really frustrating is when we've had maybe Tolu, Hwang or Matheus Mane pull across and just take that fall back inside a few yards, and you can see the space for him to run into. You just want him to knock it past him and go, but he just seems so hesitant to do it. And I really don't understand why. He must be driving Edwards mad. Because I don't think, if you've got a weapon like that, I don't see Edwards telling him not to use it. I mean, you'd use it sensibly. You wouldn't just go burning up and down the line for 45 minutes and blow yourself out. But there's opportunities for him to do it. So it must be driving Edwards up the wall, especially when you've got a player the size of Tolo in the middle who can try and get on the end of it. But as I say, defensively, which is his bread and butter, he did really well. So you've got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, I really, really like him. Now, we've talked about the the last few weeks, oh, we can't have Andre and Gomez together. But we saw at Everton away when he changed it. There was a place for them two playing together, and we saw again against Newcastle. I mean, bringing that partnership back together, it really worked, and you needed to do that against a really physically strong and mobile Newcastle United centre midfield. So, Nocky, tell me about Joe Gomez and Andre.
Yeah, I think a pat on the back to Edwards for this one, because you've got to make those big decisions. It would have been very easy to stick with Arias. I don't think anyone would have complained if we'd have done that. But with what they've got in the middle, especially with the Bruno Guimaraes, you've got to have a little bit more solid strength and solidity in that area. And these two really, really had to work hard. They had to stay switched on the whole game, because that's a difficult position to play when you're up against a team like this. And I thought they were both excellent. I don't think they let us down. Gomez in particular stood out for me. Didn't look particularly happy to come off, but I think he was knackered. You could see he was knackered. But they were very good. They didn't support the attack much, but they broke down the play from midfield. They got the ball and they recycled it out to a Mane or wide to a Bueno or Chichua. They just did the simple stuff, but they did it really well. If you lose the midfield battle against the Newcastle, you're going to lose the game. So the fact that we stood strong in that area, we stopped them from being creating anything at all. And in the end, they just had to try and play the ball wides to Barnes or to Anthony Gordon, who was taken off because of the way that Chichua managed him. So it was a very, very good performance. Similar to Jackson, it will go under the radar because they didn't do a great deal to support the attack. But I think that was pivotal for us to have those two in that position, and they both did really well.
Yeah, I think those two can take a huge amount of credit for not conceding as well. Granted, the back three were very good, but you probably needed sort of the two holders there to protect them, because let's not mess around. Newcastle are a really good side, and even if when they aren't playing well, they've got so many players of individual talent that can just win a game by themselves. But we didn't allow that. We restricted them to hardly any long shots, crosses into the box. Wolves did a good job, and I think Andre and Joe Gomez were fantastic. Now, into the 10, probably one of his quieter games, but he didn't stop, still playing for the team, Matheus Mane.
Yeah, I think he did a lot of really good defensive work, actually. I don't think he was quite as dangerous going forward. We didn't manage to fashion the kind of opportunities for a player like Mane. He likes to drop into that space between midfield and attack and pick the ball up. There wasn't a great deal of space for him to work into, and without having Arias in that central midfield position, you didn't have someone to maybe find him. But he was working really hard. He tracked back defensively. He was very good. I thought he had a good game. He's clearly very, very good on the ball. His first touch is excellent, and he had that probably more quality than anyone else in our team in terms of holding the ball, moving it, finding that pass. So it was a quieter game for him, but he did the job he needed to do for the team, which was to support that midfield, track back, support the defence, and try and make yourself available for passes. So I think it was a very grown-up performance, probably a performance ahead of his years, because when you're that age and you've scored the goals he scored, you just want to get forward, you want to support the attack. But he did a job for the team, and collectively, I think they all did that. And it was impressive. What I liked as well was when they brought on the players, they brought Wissa on, and they brought Alanga on. They changed the dynamic of the way they attacked us. We adapted to it, and we dropped back a little bit, and we supported out wide. We looked after our wing backs. Just a very, very organised performance, and obviously Mane was a big part of that.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of game when you're playing an opposition that is very mobile, that try and get at you, that try and bully you. Your whole team has to help defensively and contribute. There can be no passengers. There can be no one dawdling around or hiding from it. And Mane, as you said, very mature. He stuck to the plan. He tracked back with the runners. He put some tackles in. Yeah, I really liked it. Was it his most spectacular game with the ball? No. But was it a team performance? And as you said, then it was a mature performance. He put the team before his own sort of individual flair. I think there was one run he went out in the second half when he probably made the wrong decision. But equally, when he did get those flashes, the crowd were on their seat. They're excited because we know what he can do. And again, I'm looking forward to seeing him at Man City. Now, it's obviously a harder game, but I do feel like that's the game where he'll get more space with him and Jackson countering. That's probably our outballs next week. But yeah, a mature performance from Mane, if probably not a spectacular one. Moving on to the front pair, I'll start off with Hwang Hee-chan. Again, I thought he worked hard. Didn't contribute a massive amount, but he did all right. And I think Channy's inclusion into this sort of 3-4-1-2, he's been a big part of that, because he, with his strength, with his running, yeah, granted, he's not always the most sort of careful in possession, Nocky, but I think he's played his part. And people have talked about him coming out of the team. At the moment, I don't think he can. I think he plays an important part with the way we're set up with Rob.
Absolutely. And I think he really benefits that left-hand side. He creates space for Hugo. He creates space for Mane. He will pull players into different positions, and he's got a decent engine on him as well. He keeps working, and we've all been critical of him. And I think if we'd have had our way, he probably wouldn't be at Wolves now. But the position we're in, I think he's earned his shirt. And I think while he's at the club, he keeps it at the moment because he's not looking too much of a threat in front of goal. But the work he does is opening up doors and opportunities for other players. And they have got a good link up between him and Toller. They do feed off each other quite well. So he's there on merit. And as long as he keeps playing the way he is, then you can't be too critical of him being in the team.
Absolutely. Last but not least, now I've seen some tweets and some words going around with some criticism for Tolo for Saturday. Now, I don't understand that at all. I thought Tolo was really good on Saturday. I thought, yeah, he didn't win every header, but he got us up the pitch. There was a little sort of when he ran across the pitch, he was linking the play. He won a couple of knockdowns. I think he has really high football intelligence through the way he tries to link the play. For me, Nocky, I mean, the season hasn't turned because obviously we're in trouble, but the results have turned and the performances have turned. And it's no coincidence that's happened with him being introduced to the team.
Absolutely. And we spoke about doing the job for the team as well. He absolutely did that. He dropped back. He was almost supporting the midfield. He was winning flick-ons. He was trying to keep that ball up. He was keeping us into their half, flicking him on for Hwang to run onto. I saw the comments as well, and I was just a little bit surprised. I mean, we all see the game differently, don't we? If that's people's opinions, that's people's opinions. But for me, I thought it was a good, solid performance for a player that was feeding off scraps. And when he wasn't there, and we had Strand Larsen in that position, you notice the difference because the ball kept coming back at us. So for me, I thought he did his job and he did the job for the team. And you're up against a pretty experienced, solid back line as well, who didn't give us a lot.
Was it Sven Botman playing? I mean, he was.
Sven Botman, yeah.
I know he's had a couple of injuries, but he's a very tidy centre back. As for your comment, Adrian Richards 247, I would love if Tolo's in the Championship. I'm not sure he will be, but I would. Yeah, I would absolutely love it. I think that probably rounds us up, doesn't it, Nocky, from the team? I'm pretty chuffed with the point. I'm pretty chuffed with the performance. I understand later on in the game, I know people were like, why did he take Joe Gomez off? Well, he was trying to win the game, wasn't he? And because Andre is the more natural holder of the two, he's naturally going to sit better because that's his job, which should allow Arias and Mane to get forward. I could see what it was doing. I could understand why fans are frustrated. But this is episode 152 of the Wolves Report. Mark Knock and myself, Ryan Lester. Lots of talking, two people, so we're taking drinks in between. It's a dry, very much a dry mouth kind of thing, isn't it, Knocking when there's only two of us? But we plough on 38 minutes into the show. Now, the transfer window has got just under 2 weeks left. It's been very quiet in terms of business for Wolverhampton Wanderers, ingoing and outgoing. So we thought we'd give you our take on what may happen for the rest of the window with the next section of sell, loan or keep. Feel free to drop the comments on. As always, we do the show live because your comments, they bring up some beauties, they raise questions. Some of the insults are good, and it's good to do it live because it has a real feel to it. Nocky, let's start off with Jose Sarr. I think this is a no-brainer. I do think Jose Sarr will go in the summer. Saying that, we've said that for the last 2 years, but for me, this is very much a keep. I don't think we're in a situation where unless we've got some stupid money from Saudi, I don't see Jose Sarr going anywhere this window.
Yeah, I think out of the two, between him and Johnston, for me, he's the right choice to be our number one. I don't see any point in getting rid of him at this stage, so I'll keep him.
Yeah, same. Matt Doherty, I think Matt has played his part. I don't think he's I think I agree that he's a sub at the moment, but his experience, he clearly loves the club. I was a big fan of his speech after the game, calling people out, which may have been a turning point for getting people to wake up. So for me, Nocky, even if any offer of regular football, I think for the end of the season, he's very much a keep. He's an important part of the squad.
Yeah, definitely. Just for his personality and his experience, I'm keeping him as well. And he will give you an option on that side if you need him. So, yeah, no-brainer, keep him.
Some of these are going to be pretty quick because they're no-brainers. Hugo Bueno playing his best football for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Krejci's bringing out the best of him. So I think we're agreed on that, Nocky. Muller Wolf, Santiago Bueno, unsung hero. Again, it's with likely Agbadu to go. I don't see Santiago going anywhere, and he's very much a first choice at the moment. That's an easy one. Moller Wolf's an interesting one. I know there's been a few Premier League clubs links to him. Whether that's more likely to happen in the summer, I would say so. I think there was like link of Brighton and Villa. Correct me if I'm wrong, that Nokia. I think those were some of the links for Moller Wolf. Again, we don't have another left back really. I mean, I know we could probably put Rodrigo there, but I don't see Wolves shipping out any more defenders in terms of wing backs this window, Nokia.
No, you can't get rid of him now, can you? Because if you whack an injury to Hugo, you're going to end up sticking out there. No, I think you keep him. I don't think he'll be happy playing second fiddle to Hugo, and also I don't think he'll want to play in the Championship. So I think he goes at the end of the season, but it'd be senseless to get rid of him now, unless someone comes in with a ridiculous offer, but I don't see that happening.
Interesting too, next there's been Andre. We haven't really seen many links. I know there's some links to Italy potentially end of the season. The noise is quite quiet on him, so I don't really see anything. But unless a team gets an injury and they panic late in the window, anything can happen. But the one who's really standing out at the moment, there's lots of talk of Joe Gomez. There's apparently a deal agreed in principle to go to Napoli. Then there's talk of Atletico Madrid. I mean, under that manager, I think Joe Gomez would absolutely shine in centre midfield there, Nocky. But I don't want him to go yet. And I think it would take a staggering amount of money for him to leave this window.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go this window. I mean, my thought process, if you don't want to be here, then get rid. He's not going to be here next season, so I don't know. Are you going to lose money if you get relegated and you don't sell him now? It's a toss of a coin, isn't it? I want him to stay because I think with him and Andre, that's probably one of our strongest positions. So you're going to weaken yourself, aren't you? And we haven't got the ability to go out and bring in a top class player to replace him. We know the kind of shops that we're going to be shopping in for players. So ideally keep him, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if he went.
If he went, I'll be gutted in missing out on FA Cup winners' medal as well. Onto Jorgen Strand Larsen. This is a really interesting one for me because you look at the squad. There isn't really any other backup. If he goes, then it's only Tolu. Again, though, Nocky, if someone comes knocking on the door for 35, 40 million, are Wolves in a situation now where they can turn down that much money for a player that isn't first team?
I'd sell him
for the first team.
I'd sell him now if it was me. I think we've got a player in Tolu who is a Strand Larsen type player, but he's a little bit more effective. I would sell him and bring in a different option in the attacking area, someone who's probably a bit quicker, a bit more movement, someone who can play alongside Tolu. But for me, yeah, I'm absolutely selling him. I think you're definitely going to get more money now than you are in the summer. He doesn't want to be here. I worry. I mean, I've got no thought. No one's said anything around this, but I worry about him as a personality as well. He comes across as a very strong but stroppy personality. So for me, I'll get him out the door now if it was up to me.
Yeah, I agree if the right money comes in, but I think that with the rule that we have to bring another forward in because we haven't got enough to go around and we can't just hammer Tolu every week because it is a demanding slog and he's only just getting up to full fitness now. So I know there was linked with a potential player from Scotland. I think it was Bowie from Scotland that plays for Hibs. He was linked left-footed centre forward, 6'2", reasonable footballer playing in Scotland. So it's hard to tell equally. Yeah, let's see. But if there was a replacement lined up that will be playing next year, I'd be happy to sell Strand Larsen. John Arias is an interesting one, Nocky, because there's lots and lots of talk about him departing, but that seems to piece to be quieting down. There's an article as well recently said he wants to stay and play till the end of the season. I don't mind if Arias stays. I think he's shown a lot of heart. I think he's much more involved when he plays centrally than he's out wide. So for me, I'm very much a keep. But again, if Wolves are offered 20 million and he's not in the team and they make a small profit, are they going to turn it down? I don't know.
I'd quite like to keep him. And I also think he gives us something in that midfield that we probably haven't got. That he's similar to Bellegarde, isn't he? But we know he's injured. Yeah, I'd like to keep him. I think we're starting to see a little bit more from him. And I think we could see a really good player by the end of the season. I think if we do keep him and he does play well and he puts in some good performances and we see somewhere near the player that we thought we were going to get, you're going to sell him for more money anyway, aren't you? So it's a no-brainer to keep him as far as I'm concerned. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if he went.
No, yeah, who knows? I mean, I know we've got different people sort of supposedly running the club and different people running the transfer department. So it's really hard to say and it's really hard to judge. We've been told many things in the past and they've not happened. So let's see. Really interesting one. Hwang Hee-chan, apparently there's some interest from the Dutch league for Chan. Now, he's played quite well the last few weeks. I'd say he's been brilliant, but he's certainly been part of the team, the improvement. Again, though, there's a player, I think, in his 30s now, contract running down. Are Wolves going to be in a position for someone that's allegedly on 70 grand a week comes in the contract if you can bring a replacement in Noki, or do you think now he's a key part of it and we keep him to the end of the season?
I think anywhere near 10 million, I think you let him go. I mean, what's the key part for us? We know where we're going to end up, don't we? And you're going to command that kind of money at the end of the season? Probably not. I would take the money on Hwang, and I think his performances have improved now. But I also think we've got other players who could potentially play in that position, and we need to be looking to strengthen anyway. So if anything around 10 million quid, I'll be comfortable with them letting him go.
Yeah, but I think that again, the same with Larson. I think that with the agreement that there has to be a replacement. So
yeah.
We need another strong runner to play next to Tolo, as that's been mentioned in the comments. We'll get the comments on actually because they're pretty good. Going on to, this is the one player I think, by the way, Noki, that will not be here come the end of January. Emmanuel Agbadu. For me, for those 12, 15 games at the end of last season on that run, he was as good then performing as any centre-back I've ever seen for Wolves. He was an absolute monster. He was bullying people out of the way. He was fast. He was strong. He was pinging passes. He was a defensive animal. Whether something's changed in the summer, I don't know. He had a terrible start to the season and he kind of found his form again just before AFCON. But with all the noises and all the sort of the interest from Turkey, I'd be really, really surprised if he was still here come February.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him at his best and we've seen him at his worst, haven't we? And he frightens the life out of me at the moment when he's playing. I think he's a player who is potentially very, very good. And when he is at his best, he's one of the best I've seen, but he's just riddled with mistakes. I think if you could get good money for him now, and I'd want a profit on what we signed him for, and I think he should command that, I would be comfortable with getting rid of him. And I think we've got the defensive options at the moment to kind of work without him, and we've probably been in our best form while he's been at the African Cup of Nations as well. So I don't mind if he goes at all. And I agree. I think he probably will.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think there's a fantastic footballer there, but yeah, if you don't want to be here, that's fine as long as you leave on our terms. Tolu, absolute no-brainer. I think we're going to see a lot more of him between now and the end of the season. I think we'll see a few more goals. As someone mentioned earlier on, I would love to see him in the Championship, although I think he's probably too good, but I'd love to be wrong. Yerson Mosquera, Noki, no-brainer. We keep him. For me, I think he's close to being someone that will be captain next year. He's that kind of player in the Championship. I'd love to have him around. Interesting one now, Noki. Pedro Lima. I mean, this is somebody for me that probably shouldn't have gone out on loan in the first place. I think he was always better than Hoover, but now he's back. And as the season goes on and he gets his match fitness up, I think we'll see more and more of him.
Yeah, I want to see him get more minutes. I want to see him challenging Chichua for that position. I think there's a really good player here. Every time I've seen him play, I think his delivery is excellent and he's always impressed me. So I was a little bit disappointed when he went out in the first place. But yeah, absolutely keep him. He's a really good option for us on that side. Again,
another player returning from injury, Rodrigo Gomez. Also, probably for me, he's more of a wing back, the same as Pedro Lima. But with Rodrigo, it's bizarre. I actually think his best position is left wing back. He seems to be able to get involved with the goals from that side of the pitch. But obviously, we've got Hugo that side. But Rodrigo, yeah, no loan, no sell. We keep him, and this is someone I think we'll see more minutes from.
Yeah, I love Rodders. I think he plays with a real enjoyment of the game. He can play a few positions. I agree. I think left wing back is his strongest, but I also think in the future I could see him playing a more advanced role, almost supporting the attack. Yeah, you absolutely keep him. He gives you some well-needed pace in the second half of games. The only problem you've got is keeping him fit, isn't he? So we've got to look after him and manage his minutes. But I don't see any reason we'd want to loan him out. And I think he'll be here next season as well.
It was interesting how he got brought on further up the pitch. I wasn't sure if Rob was going to do that, but it was interesting to see that happen late on in the game. And I do think, again, he's an example setter. He's a relentless presser. His energy plays with a smile on his face. He really sets the tone when he plays for us. So, yeah, hopefully he's around and we see more from him. Tawanda Chihuahua, I do think this guy will go out on loan. I don't think he's going to be a Premier League footballer, certainly not for Wolverhampton Wanderers. I might be wrong. I think he's a talented footballer there. I just think this is somebody that needs regular minutes. I know he tried for a loan last year, didn't really get a lot of minutes. So for me, Nocky, I think Tawanda probably leaves this month, whether that's on a permanent or a loan, but I'll be surprised if he's here come February.
Yeah, I'd probably sell him if it was me. I've seen him a few times. He's definitely not a Premier League player. I saw him on loan. I didn't see much from him in the Championship either. He is a young man, so he may develop. But I don't think he's ever going to make it at this level.
On to Totti. I know Toti's had a bad hamstring injury. Club captain, big contract, long-term deal at Wolves. I don't see Totti going anywhere. Although I would say if Ladislav stays, he's got his work getting back in the team, because Ladislav has played that left-hand side very, very well indeed. This is an interesting one as well. Bentley, if we sold one of the other keepers, he will come in as number 2. 3 keepers, less than half a season left. Got a couple of good young keepers. Do we cash in on one? Maybe Bentley?
I suppose it depends what we're looking at doing next season. Are we considering that we'd probably lose Sarr and Johnston and Bentley becomes a number 1? You'd like to think not. You'd want to think we bring somebody else in. I think if we keep the 2, I'm comfortable with Bentley going out. But I kind of think he's just going to sit in the background and be a bit of a backup for us.
Moving on to Jean-Rickner Bellegarde. Now, it's a real shame that Jean-Rickner's injured. His performance away at Villa was fantastic. And for me, Nocky, this is somebody, I know it's sell, loan or keep, and the way I'm talking about it, and it's definitely keep. I think Jean-Rickner's really going to suit this system. If you've got that one holding midfielder and you've got a Mane and a Bellegarde, or an Arias and a Bellegarde in there, I think this is someone that's going to suit that number 8 stroke number 10 in this new setup we've got better than anybody. Remember him taking the game to Villa and the way he's travelling forward. And this is someone, for me, I really hope we can keep him in the Championship, because I think he would do some serious damage there. So for me, he's a massive keep.
I like him. I think he was in good form when he got injured as well. So yeah, definitely keep him.
Fer Lopez doesn't really get a lot of minutes. I think there's a seriously talented footballer. I know there's been lots of talk of 18-month loans and 6-month loans. Is there a talent? This is one of those guys that comes to us. We can all see a talent, but it just doesn't work. I think this is somebody that probably isn't yet suited to English football. I think there's a really very clearly a very talented natural player that can make things happen if given time and space. And get time and space here, though, Nocky. So I think the end of this month, there's probably a loan move up for Fer Lopez.
Yeah, I just don't see how he gets into this team if everybody's fit. So yeah, I think he probably goes out on loan, and then I probably think he's out for all the next season on loan as well. I'll be surprised if he's still officially a Wolves player by this time. 2 years from now, I just don't think he'll play much again for us.
Yeah, it was interesting. There was links that were talking about learning to the Championship. I mean, if we were going to sort of strengthen him up, the running in the Championship, I mean, there's not really much time there either. But if he were to run a games for somebody, there's clearly a talented player that can make things happen. Is he up for the Championship? I don't know. For his size, he should. For me, I think he should be stronger. But let's see. There's clearly a talent.
I do think, though, if he played in the Championship, I think it'd be really good for his development. I think if he stayed with us next season and played, you'd see a really good footballer there. It's whether or not he would want to play in the Championship. But in terms of development, I think it'd be a great move for his career if he did play. But I expect him to go.
Yeah, me also. Again, Enzo Gonzalez, brought in with lots of sort of promise, had a bad injury. He's been around the bench. We've not really seen a lot of him. Again, I mean, we're talking about a lot of people leaving here, Nocky. We'll have no players left. So if some of these players go, we're going to need some replacements. But again, this is a player for me that needs minutes. I don't see him I think we'd have seen him getting minutes under Rob Edwards if he fancied him. This is someone, again, I think will be very close to a loan this window.
I think he could have an impact for us next season. I'd like to see him go to the Championship.
He's playing for a World Cup place as well, by the way, so he's going to need minutes soon.
Yeah, I'd like to see him in the Championship for the rest of the season and maybe blood him ready for next season, and you can get a look to see whether he's going to suit what we do. But there is a talented footballer there, but sitting on our bench isn't doing him any good. He's not the sort of player that's going to come on and impact us at this stage of his career. Send him out on loan and see what we can do with him next season, I think.
Absolutely. Sam Johnson, again, I think it's the same theme as we talked about with Jose Sarr. Bentley's sitting as a number 3. I do think, though, Nocky, with less than half a season to go, if someone comes in with a reasonable offer for Johnson, I think Wolves will probably take it. I'm not saying I think he'll go this window, but I think if a sensible offer comes in, I'd be happy to sell this window.
Yeah, if we get anywhere near our money back, they'd definitely take that. You've got Bentley, haven't you? So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he went out, but I think he probably will stay because I don't see anyone coming in with. I don't think anyone would have Sam Johnson on their list of goalkeepers that they want to bring in to be a starter. So I think he probably stays.
Yeah, no disrespect, Sam. Matthias Mane, it doesn't matter what you come in. I think we've got a superstar in our hands. I think he'll be playing as many minutes as he physically can. For me, he's looking fitter and stronger. He's someone that's turned our season in terms of entertainment. We've got a song to sing. We've got a new hero. He scored some fantastic goals. He's made an impact. I think if someone came in with stupid money, they wouldn't sell this window. The problem is, though, Nocky, if he carries on the way he started for the next sort of the finale of the season, it will be hard to keep hold of him in the Championship. For me, he's a keeper this window, but if he carries on with his development the way he's going the rest of the season, he'd be hard to keep in the Championship.
Absolutely. I think if you're his agent and you care about the player, I think you tell him to stay at Wolves for another 12 months. And then you've kind of, if Wolves are in the Premier League, you're in the Premier League. If not, you're going to get your move anyway. I don't want to see him go out to a Man City because they do have a habit of buying these players just purely to stop anyone else from buying them. And it just stunts their development. You've seen it with players like Scott Sinclair and Jack Rodwell, and it destroys the momentum. I agree. I think he stays the rest of this season. And then I expect us to be batting back some really big offers at the end of this season. I'll be absolutely amazed if he's still a Wolves player come August.
Yeah, I mean, the thought of Tolu and Mane in the Championship, yeah, it gives me real hope that we might do something special, but it may be difficult keeping hold of them both. Ladislav Krejci, obviously, he's on loan. That loan deal will become triggered into permanent because he's played the amount of games. So he's a natural keep anyway because we're signing him in the summer. Whether we keep him, I think he's probably a little bit too good. But again, I'd love to be wrong. Jackson, for me, developing, had his best game on Saturday. Sorry, Sunday. I keep saying Saturday. On Sunday, he's developing now. He's building that relationship. So he's a no-brainer. Last but not least, Nathan Fraser. Now, I don't know what happened to Nathan Fraser. He went out on loan to... He played in the Swiss League and he got injured. He come back and had surgery. I'm not sure if he's fully recovered from that again. But for me, Nokia, he's a player that if he is fitting around, this is probably somebody that needs to get minutes elsewhere now.
Yeah, I'd probably sell him if I'm being honest. I don't think he's going to make it this level. He's shown little flashes. I think he will have a career, but I think it's kind of League One around that sort of standard. I don't see him ever being a starter for Wolves on a regular basis. So I'll probably sell.
As you can probably tell, me and Nokia have both been carrying colds and coughs, and we've got you through the sell, loan, or keep section. Okay, little bit of fun to tick us over after an exciting 0-0 draw with Newcastle United. Saturday afternoon, 3:00 at Molineux. Not at Molineux. Where am I going? Saturday afternoon, 3:00 in Manchester. Wolverhampton Wanderers take on Manchester City. Nokia.
I've got no science behind this, but I actually quite fancy us, I really do. I saw City against United and they were wretched. They left so much space. And I think the way we've been playing quite resolute and quite solid. There's a little bit of panic around City at the moment. I've just got a feeling that we're gonna cause them a few problems. They're a top class team, aren't they? They've got some quality players, but they don't feel like a team that's clicking at the moment. We'll probably get pumped 6-0 now, won't we? But they don't feel like a team that's really on top form. I've just got a little bit of a sneaky that Wolves might do something.
I've been waiting for you to say that. No, I think Wolves are more than capable of scoring a goal against Man City. I don't think that's in question. I think they will give you the opportunities. The space in behind their fullbacks, it's there again and again and again. They don't seem to really care for defending because if they get hold of the game with the talent that they've got, they can absolutely pummel you. Equally, Man United, so we went there a couple of weeks ago, looked a poor to average side, and Wolves could have probably won at Man United. That's the same Man United that's bullied Man City. Now, football doesn't work like that, Nocky, but we've seen that Man City are vulnerable. Unfortunately, when Man City gets slaps, they usually respond, and unfortunately, we're playing them at home. However, we've been to Man City before and won, but we weren't quite as poor as we are now. If Wolves were to beat Man City, how is that possible? How do you see that game playing out for that to work? if Wolves to get anything at all.
We're a problem for these teams, though. We were a problem for Liverpool, for Villa, for Arsenal, because of the way we set up. We set with very deep lines. They call it a low block now, don't they? But we sit very deep, but we break with a little bit of intent now. And we've got that quality in sort of the attacking area now, that in this kind of game, you've got pace to get in behind. And I think City will leave us loads of space to play into. It's one of them games we've got to keep them out for the first 15 minutes, and then you can start growing in 15-minute increments. If you ship an early goal, you've then got to come out and play, and then you're in a little bit of a pickle. But I think the longer that Wolves can keep them at bay, the more frustrated they're going to get, because their fans aren't happy anyway, are they? They're not pleased with the football they're seeing for some reason, and they've just lost to their local rivals. So if Wolves can frustrate them, I think they will overcommit. And if we can use Jackson's pace, and if we can use the quality of Mane, and if Tolu can ruffle a few feathers in the defensive area, I can see us causing them a few problems. So I think if we stick to our shape and we keep our defensive organisation, don't ship an early goal, stay rigid, stay organised, don't overcommit in attack, I think later on in the game there'll be opportunities for us. They're a phenomenal team, aren't they? Every player's an international. They've got world-class players all over the place. They've got a world-class manager. But we cause a problem for these top-quality teams because they like to just run you over. The way we play doesn't really allow that at the moment. So I think there's a chance for us. I mean, relatively on paper, you're going to lose the game, aren't you? But there's just a little bit something about us that's a little bit difficult to beat in these games. So there is a chance for Wolves, but you've got to score that first goal if you're going to get anything out of it. Ship an early one and it's, potentially it's a cricket score then, isn't it? But I don't know. I've just got a little feeling that Wolves are going to be at the very least competitive. And that's certainly not a feeling I had sort of 5-6 weeks ago. So that's probably another marker of the impact that Rob Edwards has had.
Absolutely. It's been talked about recently as well in terms of Andre and Gomez probably not being able to play together. We saw against a superior side, Newcastle, that was absolutely key. And again, as still with the says, I think playing them two is absolutely key. We need their energy, we need their strength, we need their ability, their combative skills that they have, and their ball retention, because the ball's going to be under the cosh because there's some serious talent. They pretty much play with 3 or 4 attacking midfielders. Their fullbacks get up and they've got the best striker in the world. It's going to be an absolute mountain to climb. Not impossible. You know what? Let's see what happens. But it's interesting you should mention Jackson because as much as he still splits fans' opinion, Nocky, I think this is the get-out ball at Man City because their left back and their right back just go up the pitch and they don't really care. That through ball, and we saw it at Villa for the disallowed goal. I think Bellegarde put the ball across to Jackson. Jackson run down. He's cut it back. Strand Larsen's put it in. But I think Arias was stood offside. That pass for me will be on at Man City because their fullbacks will be getting up. I trust Yerson to do one-on-one. I'm not sure 2-on-1 he can cope, but I trust Yerson one-on-one. So when Wolves are breaking, this is the game for Jackson to break. Now, again, it's a bit of a reach, Nocky, but that's the play you want there, isn't it? That lightning pace, head down and go. That's how we're going to counter-attack. We're going to need all the pace we can get because for me, we're not going to pin Man City in. They're going to have sort of 65-7% of the ball. But when they get higher and they squeeze, they'll get desperate and they'll leave gaps. And that's when, if we do get chances, which I do believe we will, we really have to take them if we have any chance of getting anything at all.
Yeah, I mean, they don't protect their fullbacks. They'll let Docker run on and they won't leave anyone in support of the back area. They'll be quite happy to defend us one-on-one. And that is the outball for us. I do expect Gomez to play, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went with Gomez and Arias just for that outball from the defense for that midfield area. But I do expect the 2 Brazilians to play. But the key is if we can get the ball wide, that's where they're going to leave a space to play into. Through the middle, they'll be very solid, but they'll also play an extremely high line. And the midfielders almost become number 10s and they leave a lot of space in that area. They maybe just drop one back to support. So there's going to be space for Wolves if we can get that out ball right. I think we'll create a few chances, a couple of chances at least, but we've got to be ruthless if we're going to do that because you're going to be limited in terms of what you can do. You're going to be under a lot of pressure. You're going to be very tired because you're not going to have too much of the ball and you're going to be chasing shadows for long periods. But it's all about 5, 10, 15-minute incremental spells. Keep them out for 15, keep them out for 30. If you can get to half-time and you're level, the frustration for them is going to be massive, and that's when you see them overcommit. But I do think if we can get the ball wide from the break and leave Jackson a little bit further up the pitch and be brave enough to commit in the right areas at the right time, I think Wolves can cause them a few problems at the back, because we haven't got the quality they've got, but Jackson's faster than anything they've got in their team. So if we can use him right and use him in the right way and get that level of player around him to support, we can cause them a few problems. And there's no pressure on us. All the pressure's on them.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. 15-minute spells make it horrible. And what I noticed that Man United did, I mean, I wouldn't quite recommend these levels because they're lucky not to get a man sent off, Man United, but they got straight into him with some tackles, and Man City didn't like it. We need to do the same thing. And I'm not saying pick tackles across people's knees, which should have been a red card. I'm not saying do that, but let them know you're in a fight. You know what I mean? In for them 50-50 is really hard. Squaring up, making it difficult. We're bottom of the league, but we're not just rolling over. So let's match their fight. Let's counter attack and let's see what happens. Who knows what will happen? It's tough. Wolves will probably most likely lose, but you know what, Nocky? We're going there with a lot more hope than we have felt over the last few months.
I think if we do lose, I don't expect us to get pumped. And normally you do going into these games. I think if we do lose, it will be by maybe a couple of goals, maybe 3. But we are more difficult to play against. We've lost that soft underbelly. Look, these are a quality team. If they turn up and they play to the levels they're capable of playing at, they'll blow us off the park, won't they? But they're also a team that get very wound up and very frustrating. You're absolutely right. United got into them. They roughed them up a little bit and they didn't cope with it. And they managed to take Haaland out of the game. And Mosquera, we know what he's like. He's the king of housery. So he'll be into Haaland, trying to get into his head. It's a no-pressure game for us. They can turn up there. They can have a go at it. But just be solid, be rigid, and just don't give anything daft away. If they score, make them work for the goal. Don't give anything silly away. And hopefully, if we can keep our shape and keep our system and just frustrate them for as long as possible, that's when I think we'll start seeing opportunities appear the other end.
Absolutely. And they've got so many centre-backs as well out. We can get that ball long to Tolo. Hopefully, can hold the ball up and try and bring us into play. You're watching episode 152 of the Wolves Report. Mark Knock and myself, Ryan Lester. If you watched the show for the first time, it is very much appreciated. I hope you've enjoyed it. You can follow us on X, YouTube, Facebook, and we'll be uploading to Spotify afterwards. So if you could like, subscribe, or follow to help us keep growing the show, that will be very much appreciated. Last but not least, Nocky, it is prediction time. You know what comes next? First scorer and score, please, Nocky.
2-1 Wolves.
Oh my God.
Jackson Tachua with the opener. It's going to be a break. I don't know if he'll score the first, or I don't know if he'll score the winner, but he's going to get himself a break. He's going to go one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He's going to round him and just roll it into the empty net. And 3,000 Wolves fans are going to be in delirium.
Have you got Jackson Tachua mixed up with the Dharma Shaw in the second half at Man City?
I think I've overdone it on my cold and flu pills, to be honest. I'm seeing 3 of you at the moment, but we'll just keep going.
One's enough, mate. I'm sorry to hear that. Right then, my prediction. You can't go for a win and out positively Nocky.
I can't be more positive than you, can I?
How can you tell me we're going to go and win at Man City and I do a less positive result than that? You've done me there and I don't like it. So what did you go with?
2-1.
Okay, I'll go 2-0 Wolves.
Please show you.
A disgusting goal from a corner, scrambled in, and late on when they're pushing, counter-attack 2-0. Who's going to score? Mosquera with the opener, and who's going to score the second one? Channy, why not? Let's go for it. This has been episode 152 of the Wolves Report. Thank you so much to Nocky for once again giving up his evening. We've both got colds. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that's damaged your enjoyment of the show. Catch you soon after we've won at Man City. Up the Wolves.